Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to It's Real with Jordan and Demi. Demi's out today. It's just me here from LA. We have two guests today. Travis Mills is a musician, actor, and host you may know from shows like Flaked, F is for Family, and MTV's I'm in a Secret Relationship. Nick Gross is a drummer and entrepreneur whose ventures include Find Your Grind, Big Noise Music Group, and Wrecked Global. Together they form the Together they form the band Girlfriends. Please welcome Travis Mills and Nick Gross. What's going on, guys?
What's up, dude? Thank you so much for having us.
Are we a band? I don't know. I've never considered us a band.
I said group. I people get into semantics. I don't know. Do you consider yourself a cult, a band?
We're a boy band. We're a boy band.
Yeah, there you go.
Like a bikini. It's just a two-piece, you know?
Yeah. The musical bikini. You have the new single out, Shut Up and Kiss Me. So first of all, is this part of a bigger EP, a bigger album? Like what is this part of? This or is it just a standalone single?
I think this song is the first domino that's kind of fallen to kick off this new era of Girlfriends. And it's something that we're super excited about. And it also starts like our first wire, with our beautiful family over there, people like Mark Hoppus, Pete Wentz, Sherry, Nick Littman. So it's just kind of the first little drop since we've kind of joined the Versewire family, and there's a lot more to come. That's for sure.
Is John Feldman behind this track too, production wise, or was just you guys by yourself? Or
no, yeah, we gave John a break from Girlfriends. We were causing him too much stress, so we had to move on to somebody else. But no, we're just excited to kind of change up the energy and try some different people out. So we wrote it with this really awesome kid from Nashville. His name's Andrew Gomez, and we're planning to do a lot more music with him. So yeah, excited to kind of just change up the waters a little bit.
And now that you're changing things, what was the recording process like for this? Compared to other Girlfriends releases?
I feel like we wrote this song in literally 30 minutes. It was the first day that I met Andrew, and I showed up. We were at the Noise Nest. It was me in the room. He pulled out the guitar. We wrote the song, sent the demo to Nick. Nick came down, met Andrew, cut drums, and we finished it. I mean, it was like literally less than a full day. And I feel like that's how the best songs are always written.
Punk rock way to do it, though, all in one day.
Literally,
we certainly got used to that. Yeah, we got used to that with Feldy for sure. So
it's also rare that the first time you meet someone creatively and you're kind of in a studio session together, that you get something that actually comes out, because it's a lot like a first date in a lot of ways. You're kind of trying to learn how each other works. The do's and the don'ts, the likes and the dislikes, and there can just be like an air of awkwardness sometimes. But with Gomez, it was just kind of like we have known him for years.
So let me back it up a little bit. Nick, maybe I'll start with you. How'd you guys even come together? How do you guys know each other?
Travis and I have known each other for a long time. I met him when he was doing his T Mills stuff with his solo project. And yeah, I've always been a fan of Travis's. I loved his solo project stuff. We originally met, he would come over to my recording studio in Los Angeles when he was, I believe, across the street shooting his Apple show. We had initially played a show together during his T Mills days in Orange County, which was a lot of fun. And that was kind of, I guess, the beginning of Girlfriends before we even knew it, and was really great. Stayed in touch in 2019. I think Travis saw me playing a show with Goldfinger with Feldman, and reached out and was like, I want to start a band. And it was exactly kind of at the time period where I was transitioning out of a previous music project, focusing a lot on the Goldfinger stuff. And I was like, dude, of course I'd love to try something out. So he came over to my studio, listened to a bunch of songs, tried to kind of figure out what it wanted to be. And I think the way that we figured out what Girlfriends was going to be was just kind of getting in the studio for the first time with Feldman and just starting to write songs. And, that first record was definitely the most kind of like, I think, natural thing that was so exciting to kind of start, just to see what will come out of the room.
Travis, you're early, the T Mills stuff, your early stuff was kind of, it was rap, but it also had a rock kind of sound to it. some people call it emo rap, whatever you want to call it. So why did you decide that like now that you wanted to go in sort of a straight up pop punk, guitar driven, that direction, and kind of lay down the rap for a minute?
Well, I mean, this is where it all kind of started for me. Like I was in pop punk bands since I was 13. And the only reason why that old project started was because I couldn't find reliable people to be in a band with. I was always the youngest member of the band. Everyone else, like in my pop punk band, I was in a band called Rome. They all had DUIs. They couldn't drive to band practice. When we went on tours, I was like 16 driving a 15 passenger van, and I got a MacBook, and I just got sick of relying on people. And so I started messing around with GarageBand and recording in my room. And that was just kind of like what I started to do out of necessity. And those songs started getting popular, MySpace era. And, that project took me all around the world. I released a ton of music, and then I want to say in 2017, and started writing and recording for a lot of other artists. Found a lot of success in that. And then I was like, why am I not doing this, for myself again? And I just knew that I wanted to keep making music, but wanted to do it a little bit differently. And like Nick said, we were friends from hanging around the studio. He had played drums for a T-Mills show. And so I hit him up. I saw a post on his Instagram saying that he missed touring, and I did too. And I was like, yo, we should start something. But, if I like go back to releasing music, like it just needs to be completely different. And that's literally how Girlfriends was born.
I mean, this feels like it sounds like it just fits your voice too.
Oh, thanks, man. I mean, yeah, it's definitely something that it's what I grew up on, kind of an encyclopedia of punk, of pop, of pop punk, of alternative, and indie music. Like that was the scene that I was raised in. And at the same time, like, I mean, I'm from Southern California, so like we grew up on, like West Coast hip hop. It was just like, it's skate culture, dude. It's literally like loud, fast, fun rock music, but it's still the attitude of rap, and it was just kind of like an amalgamation of all my influences.
Yeah, totally. Now, Nick, you have all these different things going on. You're an entrepreneur. You have all these different ventures and companies, investments and everything. I'm curious, how do you find time for all your things? How do you find time for both music and your CEO duties with your companies? And I mean, do you have a really strict schedule, or is it just kind of a day-to-day, whatever needs to happen?
Yeah, I just enjoy building things. It's the same thing that goes with Girlfriends. It's like a startup, right? Just figuring out new ways to do things, content to be creating all the time, music to be writing, touring to be done. So I look at Girlfriends just like anything else in terms of the stuff that I've created, and have a lot of fun doing it. I would say that having great people across a lot of these things that I'm doing has really helped me a lot, just push these things along. So presidents of these companies and people that are helping me operate them, which I'm super fortunate to have. And yeah, I mean, I think for Travis and I, like we both have really busy schedules, and I think we enjoy being busy. I think we enjoy having multiple irons in the fire. It certainly helps a lot of the stuff we do with Girlfriends by kind of bringing in some of these exterior elements of things that we do. And so, yeah, I think it kind of all goes back to the music at the end of the day, right? Like, how can the things that I'm doing outside of music help what Girlfriends is doing? And I think Travis thinks the same way about the stuff he's got going on.
And Travis, do you find yourself like pulling away? Do you find that like when you're working on music, you feel like you should be working more on the hosting, acting side, and when you're working on a show, do you feel like, man, this is taken away from music, or do you feel like you have a pretty good balance of both?
I mean, I think we've definitely struck a balance, and it's like when I have, the break from filming, we're in the studio creating, and it's like, I think for me, it's refreshing, and it's like a nice change of pace, because I'll be in the studio working with Nick and someone like Andrew Gomez for, 2.5 weeks every single day. And, as soon as you start to get maybe like a little bit of like writer's fatigue, or you're like, man, I'm running out of shit to write about, I'll hop on a plane and, I'll fly to Philadelphia. I'm going to Charleston, South Carolina right now to go film an episode. And immediately I'm transported into a different city, a different state, new surroundings. And I'm on planes and hotels and having these experiences that I can then write down on my phone. And when I come back, I have a new kind of source of inspiration to tap into. Not to mention, like Nick said, it's really cool to be able to like be on a television show wearing a Girlfriends hoodie, and maybe someone who watches the show looks at it and is like, well, what's Girlfriends, and goes and finds our music, and then they buy a concert ticket, and then I see them at the show.
I should have maybe mentioned this earlier in the show, but you guys had this huge tour. You guys touring with Avril Lavigne in August. Is that something? Have you guys known her for a while? How'd you guys get on that tour? Tell me it was a cooler story than just managers and business people behind the scenes making it happen. Tell me there was some cool story about getting on the tour.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it's definitely cooler than that. I think Avril came into our universe during the Mod Sun era over at Big Noise, when they started to kind of date, and Mod Sun is an artist that was on my label. And I know, yeah, Girlfriends went out with Mod 2021, which was always really exciting to look back on during that time. And yeah, Avril just kind of became someone that was in the circle, I guess, and so we always just kind of stayed in touch, always kind of hung out, became friends first and foremost. And it just kind of came naturally, I think, last year, where she offered to take us out in Europe. We couldn't deny it. How could you? We packed our bags within, I think, like 8 days of knowing we were going to get the tour, which was crazy how fast it came together. And then here we are again this year, getting to do the States with her in Canada. So yeah, it's just kind of naturally evolved. I think, like with anything, the best things come from just building authentic relationships. And Avril's been just like a super cool friend for Travis and I over the years. And
Travis, I'm assuming you grew up listening to, pop punk bands, to My Chemical Romance, and I'm a big MXPX fan. So vocally, I do hear a little bit of Gerard Way in your vocals. When you were starting this project, did you have a certain vocal approach? Did you have someone you kind of modeled your singing after, or is it just kind of what came out?
I would say the whole reason why I even started singing in the first place was Tom DeLonge. Like, Tom proved that you didn't have to have an incredible like voice. You could use what you have and sing in a way to where you just made it work for you. And so like, yeah, once I heard Blink, I was like, oh, I can do this too. And, I'll say like Blink was the band that made me want to start making music for myself. And then, I grew up listening to bands. I mean, MXPX, Less Than Jake, Alkaline Trio, No Effects, like punk rock. Like, this is incredible because you don't have to be the best guitar player, you don't have to be the best bass player, you don't have to be the best at anything. You just use front of you and yourself, and it's art. And I think from his idol, like the thing that Tom does.
Let's talk about drumming here. I'm all about Nick, I'm all about your entrepreneur thing, because I have all these different things I'm juggling, so that interests me. But at the heart of this project, you're the drummer. I'm not a drummer myself. I'm not. I played trumpet in middle school. That's my musician background. But I am kind of a nerd when it comes to production and sounds things make. And I'm big on drum sounds, about the way bass pedals sound, the way a snare is either tight or loose, a gated snare, all this kind of stuff. So you kind of have this, I feel like it's sort of like arena rock mixed with punk is like the best way to describe your drumming style. What was your early drumming influences, and kind of what did you want to sound like? Who kind of shaped the way you play drums?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious that Travis Barker was definitely one of my big influences. As a teenager, I was lucky enough to get lessons with him for a short amount of time. I played shows with the Transplants with my first band, which was awesome, and just kind of created this small relationship with him as a young kid who idolized him. And so, yeah, I think you can hear and see a lot of that in my drumming. guys like all the way to the opposite end of the spectrum from a technical perspective, like Carter Buford from Dave Matthews Band. That was always like an awesome group and drummer that I always used to play records of his from a technical standpoint. I don't think anyone can be like Carter Buford, but it was definitely an inspiration for me growing up. Guys like Dominic Howard from Muse, always really liked his style and his playing. Um, I don't know. There's a ton of drummers out there, man. Like Adrian Young, obviously from No Doubt, with just his style and his craziness behind the kit, similar to Travis, was a big influence for me growing up too. And just the sounds of his drums being kind of like really cracky and poppy and front and center in a lot of the mixes. So I totally feel you on that, man.
Yeah, I really like a snare that's like kind of tight, but not like marching band tight.
Yeah, totally.
That's like
Yeah, you gotta have some body to the snare, not just all crack top end.
I this is the first time I think on the show that anyone's mentioned Dave Matthews Band as an influence, and I don't mean that as any kind of shade or anything, but specifically, yeah, totally. Dave Matthews Band was my first concert I attended without my parents, so
nice.
That's
awesome.
a soft spot. That's kind of like a special concert. That first one you go to where it's like your friends, and not your parents drop you off. I also did I was big into ska and emo. I remember going to see Real Big Fish without parents. Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, Mad Caddies was one of my first ska influences, probably when I was like 7 years old. Knew I wanted to be a drummer when I listened to that stuff. Everclear Records. But yeah, I think like the thing with Dave Matthews Band is just the musicality and like the ability of all those players on that stage and how they come together was always so like fascinating to me, and stuff that we definitely want to try and bring into Girlfriends all the time.
Yeah. So can we like our future Girlfriend songs going to be a little bit more maybe long? Because I feel like now we're kind of coming out of the era where songs are 2 minutes long. Everyone was obsessed with these like 2 minute long songs. Do you feel like now that people are going to tolerate 4 minutes? I feel like the art of the guitar solo just disappeared like 5 years ago. So are the Girlfriend songs coming up? Are they going to be a little bit more longer, more melodic?
I don't know if we ever necessarily approach a song by like length, like if we have a specific number in mind. I think it's always like the mentality when we're writing a song is always what's the best idea for the song. With that being said, like I think one of the big reasons why we love working with Andrew Gomez is he's an incredible guitar player. And, a big thing that Nick and I took away from touring with Pierce the Veil and the Used last year was having moments where the music can speak for itself, right? And to your point, it's like a lot of artists are just cramming as much as they can into 2 minutes, and there's not a lot of room for instruments to breathe. And I think in the new stuff, it's like, what if we approached a guitar solo like a vocal hook, where it's just as catchy as a post chorus, but it's just guitars. And I think that's something that you'll hear too and Shut Up and Kiss Me, where like anyone can pick up a guitar. You don't have to be incredible, but it's like that feeling that we got when we heard All the Small Things or What's My Age Again, or Damn It by Blink. You want to pick up a guitar and you want to learn that riff. You want to go and like look up the tab and you want to be able to kind of noodle it around. And I think that's something that we're definitely bringing in the studio for this next era of Girlfriends.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I could go on about the Used as well. Like Taste of Ink was just like one of my favorite.
Dude, so me too.
So good. So I was Nick, I was talking to Travis before you came on about the studio and how incredible it is. What has it been like to build this thing over the years, and how has it evolved over the years as you've kind of remodeled it and modernized it and made it what it is today?
Yeah, it's like my baby over there, it's like my first business, like literally having musicians off the street come in to record, like to make money, for the studio. So like, yeah, it's awesome to see the evolution of it. It's gone from literally kind of like a punky, thrashing stuff everywhere, marking up the furniture, like holes in the wall place over a couple of years.
It's too nice now, Nick.
To a place that probably might be a little too nice. Yeah. But no, it's exciting, man. Like 5 studios, 2 basketball courts. I kind of envisioned always having like a campus, right, for music and creativity where
you kind of lock yourself in there and never want to leave. So yeah, it's super cool, man. The Noise Nest is an awesome place to be creative and create girlfriend stuff.
Do the basketball games get competitive, or is it just like a fun shoot around, play horse kind of thing?
I think, yeah. I mean, I think it's never fun. It's always competitive. Travis always has to get the long ball shot, so he'll go to the street and try and sink the shot from 200 yards away. Yeah, it's happened once or twice. I have it on film.
How is your shot, Travis?
Awful, really awful. I'd say that I get lucky. I get lucky probably 20% of the time, and that's when I look like I know what I'm doing.
Is there anybody that's balled out at the studio that you wouldn't expect, like a Prince, Dave Chappelle kind of situation where, like out of nowhere, Mark Hoppus comes in and dunks on people or something? Or
not yet, but we're always open to it. Nick is really good at ping pong.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Nick has a great ping pong game.
Yeah, we don't have a cool story like that yet where like Shaquille O'Neal came over and shredded the backboard glass of the Noise Nest. We need something like that.
Right. You always hear those stories about like NBA players playing pickup at the like LA Fitness and just like, balling out on just like guys on their lunch break, that'd be fun. And I got to ask about the bathroom XLR inputs. I saw in your YouTube video, you can record vocals in the bathroom. How often does it actually happen? And is it really that good acoustics?
That was a Travis request, So we were like, all right, dude, if you really are requesting that we have XLRs in the bathroom, we might as well do it. And he records a lot in there.
The good thing is that the XLR inputs are literally right next to the toilet. So if you're like the kind of person that likes to record sitting down, you have a porcelain throne.
Right. Well, so we'll leave it at that. Awesome. We'll leave it at that. But so everyone has like their own vocal preparation. Are you Travis, like hot tea and like not talking the day before, any of that kind of stuff?
No, I mean, I do drink a lot of like hot tea and honey and stuff when we're on tour. And I got like a vocal steamer last year, and it was the first time that I actually started using it. But other than that, man, I mean, I kind of for so long just thrashed my voice and never took care of it. And now I think I'm definitely, trying to give myself, the proper amount of like rest and nutrients and, just, I want to like, if there's any way that I can kind of gain an edge or an advantage with my voice, especially with like touring with artists like Avril and Pierce and The Used, I'm definitely going to use it. But I'm not someone who's like whispering for 24 hours before a show or nothing outrageous like that. Like,
are you guys healthy? Are you guys like eat healthy, in bed by 10 kind of people, or
not in bed by 10? I think the worst thing that I do now is probably my sleep schedule, because I'm an insomniac. But I will say that we're probably one of the most boring bands because we're not doing anything crazy. It's like, eating good, hanging out with people after the show, playing video games on the bus. There's not really a lot of like debauchery or anything.
Okay, what games are on the bus? You guys Call of Duty people? You guys Switch people? Like
NHL.
That's it. That's the only
wild
game.
Card.
It's the only game.
That's the only game on the bus.
PS5 or Xbox?
PS5.
Wow. Okay, didn't expect that.
Big hockey guys over here. Big hockey guys Travis and I grew up playing hockey as kids, and all that. So God bless.
The NHL games are a big point of contention on the bus, and even like our sound dudes and like our guitar player and our tour managers, they'll have like side bets on me and Nick when we play on like who's gonna win.
NHL player.
Well, I think we have a tie going, and we've gone into some pretty serious series and battled it out, but that's to be determined. We have a lot of touring on the books this year, and you best believe there will be a lot of games played.
This sounds like a sports press conference, like a pregame. We're just going to try our best. We're going to go out there.
We're going to work really hard. We just communicated really well, and that's what led to these victories.
Are you guys disappointed in the Chiefs Super Bowl again?
I didn't have a dog in the fight.
Okay, so you don't care.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't.
Some people are really like screw the Chiefs. And I'm just like, geez, yeah.
I hope they both had fun.
They both had fun. Yeah. Did you watch the halftime show, the Usher halftime show?
I did. I mean, dude, I'm Apple Music family, so
right.
I gotta. I also I had to represent for my Apple fam.
Now you're on the other side of this interview? Is it weird? Like, you've interviewed so many people. Is it weird do you enjoy being interviewed? Does it help? Because I've been interviewed a couple times, and I did find it to be helpful to be on the other side of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, we're just having a conversation, right? And I think that's what I love so much about it. It's like getting to meet people from all different walks of life, different upbringings, and getting to talk to them just about their experiences. It's always, I think it's, a little weird, obviously, kind of an introspective to talk about your own. But I feel like that's why I even have a show, with Apple in the first place, is because it's something that I've always had a lot of fun with, and I've always really enjoyed. So yeah, I don't, when artists are too cool to kind of talk about their inspirations and, their likes and dislikes, I don't know, it's hard to really remain a fan,
Right. And there's Nick somewhere down there. Travis, when I was looking up, you have one of like the funniest, most random, like the blurb on your IMDb page is like the front page facts about you. Do you know what they are off the top of your head?
Oh no, I'm scared.
So the like when you go on your IMDb page, the first two things you see on the trivia random facts section is that you were up for and lost the part of Jughead in Riverdale to Cole Sprouse.
That is true, correct.
And that you wear spacers. Those are the two things that are on like your fact sheet on the front page. It's just
spacers, like plugs, I
guess, yeah. I mean, spacers like that. Like those are the two.
Well, I haven't worn those in like 10 or 11 years because
I know.
They need to change it to I wore them.
And Riverdale was like 6-7 years ago at least, right? Like that was
And the crazy thing was like I auditioned for it. I wasn't like
you weren't like down to it.
It wasn't like me or Cole Sprouse. No, it was just like I just auditioned for it.
So there's no beef between you and Cole Sprouse over this.
No. That's weird that it's on there though.
Yeah, I know. I always think that's funny. Or they'll have stuff that's like is about to star in something, and it's like a movie that was like 3 or 4 years ago. But
someone needs to change that.
Right. I'll bring Nick back in. I want to talk about the entrepreneur stuff real quick, Nick. Are you constantly looking for investment opportunities and things to work on, or do you kind of have a limit? Like, okay, I have too many things in the fire right now. I'm just going to concentrate on what I have. Or you always kind of have an open door and open mind to different companies, different ideas.
Yeah. Always looking, like always curious, always like looking for things that could kind of benefit our ecosystem, places where we can add more value to either startup ideas or investments that are a little further along. And it's a group of people next to me that kind of help make those decisions and bring things through and try and get access to as much cool stuff as possible.
Are you trying to keep it sort of in the general like entertainment world for the most part?
Yeah, I'd say like our focus really is within media, sports, entertainment, consumer, is kind of where we see a lot of natural opportunity, just being a drummer and being in music. And I think we, that crew of kind of like athletes, entrepreneurs, musicians, I have tight circles with as well. And so, yeah, I think we naturally see the stuff in those kind of areas the most. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, man, just to be able to like find certain things where, like we became a partner in X Games a year ago and girlfriends got to play X Games, right? So it's just stuff like that where it's just really cool to tie in circles of things.
And you're also like, think about how cool your like 10-year-old self would think what you're doing right now. Cause like, I feel like you're like doing what a 10-year-old would just like dream of doing in terms of the people and the events that you're going to and stuff like that.
Yeah. Thanks, man. It's super cool. Yeah. We don't, I don't think Travis and I take too much time to like reflect on stuff, but I would agree with you. Yeah, I think if you were to ask like 20 years ago where we'd want to be, we're definitely getting closer.
And the last thing I'll ask before I let you guys go is, now that you're gearing up for live shows, what does your live show look like now? What is it going to look like in the summer versus, what you've had in the past? Or are you one of those bands that you're like every tour has to be bigger and more stuff, or do you guys kind of keep it on the minimal level?
I mean, I think when you're, kind of prepping to go play arenas with Avril Lavigne, you want to go as big as humanly possible.
You're just gonna be backup dancers with like sequin costumes on or something.
yeah, we're gonna have 20 background dancers. Nice. No, but it's just like, what does the stage setup look like? What does the background look like? Our job every time we step foot on that stage is to win, 18,000 people over. And so like, how do we do that consistently night after night? And I think that's kind of all that we're focused on now, as well as, just making the best music possible, because it all comes down to the songs at the end of the day. You can have the most flashy production, but if your songs suck, no one's going to want to listen to them.
And Travis, are you cool with the idea that, the girlfriend songs are starting to outstream your solo stuff? Is that cool? Are you cool with that?
That's music to my ears. I want nothing more. That's literally why I why I wanted to start a band. Yeah,
that's one thing that I found interesting first talking to you, is that you're a guy who wants to be in a band. You're not a solo look at me all the time kind of guy. You want to be in a band.
I think it's cool. And like, having someone like Nick as, my partner in it, it's like we both bring different energies to the studio, and like I can really, lean on him for a lot of the production stuff, and he like lets me do my thing with lyric and melody, but at the same time we bounce off of each other. And if I'm like, yo, I'm stuck here, does this suck? He's like, no, that's amazing. Like, chase that. Like, it's cool to just have that, to just be going through it with someone, right? Rather than feeling like you have to do everything by yourself. It's really important it's important who you collaborate with,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me on the show. Good luck with the tour. Good luck with the new music. I'm looking forward to what you guys have going on down the road. Thanks so much.
Dude, thanks for having us, man.
Thank you, man.
Your time.
All right. See you guys later.
All right, brother. Peace.
All right. Bye. All right. That was Girlfriends. Their new single, Shut Up and Kiss Me, is out now. That'll be it for me. Demi will be back next week. As always, go to popdust.com for the latest in pop culture and music news. Follow me on Instagram at Jordan Edwards Studio. Follow Demi at Demi_Ramos. Until next time, we'll see you later.